for the introduction. So are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your
Okay,
screen.
thank you. So the structure of this 1 hour discussion would be like into four phases. So first, I'll give a little introduction about myself, like though I know cover it well, but I'll go into a little more like how I ended into this RPA journey, and then discuss a little bit about the RPA potential. I guess from the conversation that I see in the chat, you people already know what RPA is, but you want to see on the implementation side, on the BA side of RPA. So we'll be covering on that. And then we will be seeing the roadmap for the automation, like how you become an RPA BA based on the like skill set or the background and expertise that you have. And then in the end, we'll discuss the Q&A, the queries that you have. That I would not be entertaining your queries. In free to chime in, like put your queries on the Zoom chat. You can unmute yourself, have a live interaction, and so I'll be answering your like based on the information and the knowledge that I have. If I am unable to answer your queries, uh, I'll keep a track of those queries and I'll get back to you. Okay. Is anyone else facing the issue? I see Ovela is facing some audio issues from my side. Okay, thank you, Eno, for the confirmation. So, like, so I started my IT career in 2011 June from a multinational company called Accenture in India, and at that time I worked for 3 years in healthcare industry. I was a system analyst there, handling some of the migration, some of the we had to make a lot of documentation there on the standard operation procedures and do the automation there. But at that time, the automation that I was doing, it was not robotic process automation. It was using through Jenkins, shell scripting. And in 2013, I decided that I should go for my MBA. So I started preparation for my MBA in 2013, and I got admission into IIM Rohtak in 2014. So I did my full-time MBA from IIM Rohtak in marketing, IT, and strategy side, and I did my internship in real estate company. So when I went into my B school, I was thinking to explore or go into the marketing, but I kept IT as my minor subject because I was keeping IT as an option. Like if I did not like the IT, the marketing, come back to the IT after 3 years of experience in Accenture. Yeah, that's what happened. Like the backup worked for me. And in 2016, like after having the internship experience, I felt IT would suit me more. And in 2016, I again joined Accenture, but at a lead business analyst role. And the nature of my work was on like automating the workflows in finance and accounting, HR and insurance. Though at that time, like I had least experience or exposure on the RPA side, but it was workflow automation using the in-house tools and the OCR. OCR stands for optical character recognition. So the work that I was automating, it involved extraction of the information from the invoices in FNA, and I was also on the content management side. Uh, so where we were handling like the records of 500K Accenture employees. So that was a scale of the CMS or the content management server. The name was Documentum, the tool that we were using on the backend. And in 2018, I started like developing the inclination toward RPA. I was not getting opportunity in Accenture, so I was looking outside, and UiPath, which is the RPA leader right now. You pick any, you will see UiPath in the leaders quadrant from last 3 to 4 years, I if I recall it right. And I got opportunity to work in UiPath as a RPA BA. And so there I was making PDDs. If you do not know, PDD stands for the PDD stands for process design document or process description document, as some people call it. And so I was In simple words, it's a requirement document around the process that is used by a developer to do the coding and automate the user's task. And I was also doing the assessment. Assessment is part of the discovery, where we do the cost benefit analysis before developing any of the IT project. And I got exposure to work in oil and gas company. I was in Middle East for some time. I also worked in retail sector. I worked in finance and accounting, taxation, HR, pharma, and aviation sector. And right now I'm also like right now I'm working on for e-commerce client, and I the information that is not here. I also work for manufacturing client in supply chain. Uh, and in 2021, I joined UiPath Canada. Earlier, I was part of UiPath India, and now I'm purely doing the discovery and the consulting side of UiPath or the automation, where I build the automation roadmap for the clients, what they would achieve in next 6 months or next 1 year. So I make the roadmap for the clients by assessing their areas like finance, HR, IT, supply chain. uh, so that's the work that I do right now in my role. I also conduct trainings for the partners. When I say partners, UiPath has a lot of partners like the big service integrator companies. So we enable their BAs. So people who do not have any RP experience, and if they request UiPath to enable them, so I do the enablement training for them outside the discovery work that I do. And this is about me. Like any question on this, like if you're interested in like how I got transferred from Accenture to UiPath directly into the RPA BA role, or anything that you want to know of this. You can put your queries in the chat window, or you can unmute yourself and have a live interaction with me.
Yeah, sure. Let's keep going. I'm sure there will be questions in the chat
Okay.
we can take on later. Yeah.
Okay. Now, talking about why you should choose the career in RPA. Most of you are from like from BA background. Some are from core domain like finance and other background. So becoming RPA BA is not a rocket science. Like it, I'll be talking about the skill set in the upcoming slide. But why you should choose RPA sector? Because you can see this is the statistical source that I've taken the reference. Like in next 8 years, the RPA market that is sitting at 3.1 billion right now, it would be at approximately 13 billion in the next 7-8 years. So the potential is huge, and the growth opportunity is also huge. So if you start from RPA right now, so at in the next 8 years, you can see yourself at a like a good executive position, or like a senior position, senior management position, if you start right now. Because if we go with the conventional technology, so the growth would be there, but yeah, it depends on the individual performance and the company performance. But we also have to look at the industry, like at which speed the industry is growing, and RPA is growing massive because it touches the artificial intelligence. And we know there's a lot of push from all the business and the industry group to cut cost and adopt the latest technology and the greatest features to solve the real life problems. So that's why RPA is closely linked to the artificial intelligence, and it has a good growth potential in the next 8 to 10 years. And why it got traction in the last 2 years. So, like in early 2020, when the COVID was there, and people were not able to come to office, and there was a huge layoffs. And so what top leadership decided in multiple companies, that they want to reduce the cost. But if they reduce the cost by laying off the people who would do those activities those people were doing. So COVID-19 acted as a like stimulus for RPA growth, and I could see myself like in the last from 2020, the amount of work that increased for our team and the number of projects that we started getting, not only in UiPath but uh, in other organization, like where I have my business analyst friend who are working in RPA. So everyone's plate was full with project, because there was a lot of push to cut the cost and uh, cutting the jobs which are repetitive and mundane in nature is a sweet spot uh, for the layoffs, and who would do that activity if those are laid off. So automation can be easily deployed in those places where the activities are repetitive and mundane in nature. Not necessarily like the complete job would be automated, but the people can be redeployed into other valuable activities or where we require their cognitive abilities. So, and not only this cuts the cost, increase the productivity, but it also improves the transparency and it leaves the digital footprint. When I say digital footprint, you can trace each transaction, what bot or a software program did 6 months back or 1 year back. So that is an interpretation of digital footprint. And when I talk about speed, there's like we as a human have our limitations. We cannot compete with the speed of computers, and these software bots on an average their speed is 2 to 5 times depending upon the process that we are automating. And common areas where we see this automation deployed is the finance sector. Like there's hardly any industry where we have not done automation, because in all the industry or all the business domains, they are repetitive processes. They are mundane activities that are rule-based standard. Like those are revolving around digital application, digital data. So everything that is rule-based and around digital application, digital files, that can be automated. Uh, Not like there would be few exceptions, because the process that we do sometimes requires a lot of cognitive abilities. When I say cognitive or intelligent abilities, these are the areas where we need to think and decide based on the factors that are in front of us. Those areas, it it may be difficult to automate on the first go, but yeah, now right now we're sitting in 2022, so we have a lot of AI capabilities that can be infused into the bot to handle those complex or difficult decision taking by the bot. Yeah. And if I like you want to relate, like most of you people would not be from the RPA background, so I have a list of the use cases from different areas or functions. Like this is from the customer due diligence, invoice processing, payroll processing, demand and supply, pricing and monitoring. I'll be picking one or two examples. If you guys can relate, what are the like sweet spot for the automation? For example, invoice processing. Uh, so in invoice processing, like, okay, how many of you in this group are from this finance or finance and accounting group who knows this invoice processing, what invoice processing is? You can put a thumbs up or you can respond in the chat window. Oh, Eno is aware, and Gwen is also aware about invoice processing. And I see Mr. Fox. Yes, from Mr. Fox. Okay, so I'll just give a little description about this invoice processing activity. So what happens in invoice processing activity? So when an invoice is received from vendor to the buyer entity, or in their mail buyer's email box, so the invoice has to be classified, like what kind of invoice it is, whether it is purchase order or it is non-purchase order. And then the sorting has to be done from which region it came. And after the sorting and the classification is done, so the prioritization has to be done. How urgent is it to process that invoice? Is it from the top vendor that has to be processed on priority because of the terms and condition? Because if the buyers do not pay the invoice on time, there can be some penalties on the buyer from the supplier side. There would be a fixed deadline or the due date before which the invoice has to be paid, and the information has to be extracted from the invoice. And believe me, like that information is not like one or two fields. They're like more than like 10 to 15 fields that we have to extract from the invoice, depending on the size and the length of the invoice. Sometimes the invoices of 1 page, sometimes the invoices are of 3 to 4 pages, and I've seen the invoices that are like more than 5 pages as well. And it is really pain to extract each line item from the invoice, from the header information like purchase order, ship address, the buyer name, the seller name, the date of invoice, the due date, the description, the quantity, what kind of item that are there, what is the line item price, what is the text on that invoice. And now this is an example of one invoice I'm telling, and I've seen a lot of examples in my past experience where there are like hundreds of invoices received on daily basis for the big companies. And there is a backend team, like the number would range from like 15 to 50, sometimes 100 as well, who are performing the same activity again and again on the repeat mode, like that is invoice processing. And so it is a pain to extract the information, do the classification and sorting, and on uh, top of that, we have multiple validations like a two-way match, like we have to match the invoice with the purchase order, we have to match the invoice with goods receipt note, whether the information that was requested is matching or not. If it is not matching, then we have to raise an alert, and if everything is good, then we post that invoice in the EARP and the payment would be released. So this is just one example of the repetitive activity. Similarly, like I have mentioned, multiple examples here, how mundane and repetitive activities these are, and all these can like are a sweet spot for the automation that are done by the automation and invoice processing I mentioned because this is the most relatable example. But I've given the example of the description here, and the automation is not restricted to the finance. It touches supply chain, IT, HR, the hiring, and IT access management, dispatching the assets, or doing the server migration, or provisioning of the server, deprovisioning of the server. So all these use cases are a sweet spot for the robotic process automation. And now you can think in your life or the end user that you have interacted with, like what are the repetitive activities that they are doing that they can automate with help of robotic process automation. And like they can be one or like two, three simple activities that you may think, okay, uh, for example, in your life, in your work, you may be generating some weekly or monthly report. So those report must be in Excel format, where you download the data dump from some enterprise application, and you do the data manipulation, apply some arithmetic or mathematical calculation on those data or the parameters that you capture. And all those can be automated because those are simple rules that bot can follow. And you would save all that time, and you can outsource those activities, the boring activity, to bot. So would anyone like want to ask any question, like, or if they are having difficulty to understand like what is a real life use case for the automation? And uh, based on like the recent discovery exercise that we did, I did it for a healthcare client, where we were able to demonstrate $5 million saving in just 2 months of discovery exercise. So we scanned their finance and like in finance and accounting, it was revenue control management. RCM is one area in healthcare, and we also touched on their IT area, where we approximately scanned like 150 to 200 use cases or automation opportunity, and we finalized top 50 or 60 ideas. We prioritized those 60 ideas, and those 60 ideas was saving 5 million of savings. And those savings are immediate. Like you do not have to wait 6 months or 1 year to achieve that saving. That is like, because once you deploy the RPA into production, you can start seeing the benefit from week one. You do not have to wait for months like other IT technology that are there. That's the reason why RPA is getting good traction in the market, because it is non-invasive. It will sit on top of all other applications that are there. Like you can take about example of ERP applications like say Oracle or SAP. You can take example of CRMs like Salesforce. And not only like we have a good data scraping capabilities, like we can extract the data, manipulate the data, read or write the data on these applications, but we also like nowadays like RPA is mature. Not only Uipath, but yeah, other RPA vendors, they have the backend connectors where The robot do not have to scan the front end user interface screen, but it can fetch the data or pick the data from backend or write the data from backend directly without even like logging into the application from front end. So any question here, team, on the benefit of RPA? And now when we talk about like this $5 million saving, this is only the dollar value that I'm saying like that we saved. This is a hard dollar value, by the way. And not only it gave us the dollar save for one client. And when I say like I do discovery from last 1.5 years, I'm only doing the discovery. And in a month, I do 1 or 2 discovery. Means it doesn't mean that I'm tied to one discovery project, but I have my team of PS, like 4 to 5 PS who do discovery. So simultaneously, like we are working on 4 to 5 clients. We do, and we demonstrate the savings, not only on the dollar save, but on the time save, and the employee experience or the and customer experience as well. RPA also help in reducing the risk, improving the compliance. When I say improving the compliance and reducing the risk, I'll give one example that all of you can relate to. So suppose like you're running a company and you have an employee in IT department or in a finance department who has access to 5 different applications. And suppose tomorrow is his last working day, and you have to ensure that after Friday he doesn't have any access on any of the enterprise application or a shared drive or SharePoint. What you nowadays like it is little simple, like because single sign-on is there, so we just disable a single sign-on from the backend and his access would be revoked, but not on all the application. Right now we have the single sign-on facility. So in that case, so we can delegate that activity to bot. So whenever exit request is there for an employee and his last working day, the bot can run and at the end of the day at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. So bot can disable his access automatically without any intervention. That is one example. The risk is reduced because now the person would not be able to log in into any of the IT system of the previous employer. So that's how like that is one example. And for auditing, because in auditing we have to crunch a lot of numbers. We have to look at different data sources, different application, and there are like thousands of records in Excel. And it is kind of like an auditing activities take like weeks of time. So all those activity can be done in days, like that was taking 2-3 weeks, or those activity can be done in days, like 1 or 2 days with robotic process automation, because we can deploy n number of bots. With human we have a capacity, because we cannot grow the headcount beyond a limit, and people have the limitations. Uh, they have their personal life, but bot would work autonomously without any intervention. uh, on weekends they do not take sick leaves and all that. So, and bot work 4 to 5 times, 2 to 5 times depending on the process, faster than the human agent. So that's why like and the scalability is easy, because with human there comes a constraint, like we have to train them, we have to enable them. Hiring takes 2 to 4 weeks of time, and then once they're hired we have to and when we hire them, they are not productive from week 1, week 2, right? It takes time for people to become productive, and generally like my experience is uh, it takes 2 to 3 months for people to become productive, to reach their maximum potential in the organization. Sometimes at a senior level it takes 6 to 8 months. At a junior level they are productive from first month, and like an intermediate level they are productive from second or third month. But yeah, with bots that is not the case. Like if you anticipate the volume of your business would rise, the transaction right now, suppose if you're processing 100 transaction in a day, and you anticipate next month the volume of your business would grow, and you're anticipating the volume to double, you just have to go into the controls room or the orchestrator, and you would have to add more number of bots. You double the bot count. You do not have to bother about the training and all that, the enablement KT and joining bonus and all that. Just add the number of bots and the job done. And downsizing, this is about upsizing. Downsizing is also easy. Like if you see the volume would go down in the year end, so you can remove those about licenses or number of bots let's assume initially there were 5 working on a process. Now you can reduce the bot to 2 and save the license cost in the end. So that's how easy it is to deploy or undeploy the number of bots.
So there's only a limited number of organizations that are actually using RPA. So basically, are you saying that with you and your team, is there a specific syntax that's used to create an RPA on any specific tool, or is it just general syntax that's used? And if so, what is that syntax?
Okay, so there are two questions. Like, so ours is not the only organization that uses RPA. My organization name is Uipath, and there are like dozens of RPA players in the market. But yeah, top 3 players are there in the latest quadrant. You can search in the Google like the RPA players in the market or RPA vendors in the market. Now, a few months back, there is an entry of Microsoft as well. And Salesforce company has also entered into the RPA market. SAP has also entered into the market. So that's a validation that they see huge potential in the RPA, and that's why they are entering into the RPA space. And now answering your second question, that what kind of syntax to be used. So syntax is simple, like, and another reason, like, though there's a push, like because of COVID on the cost cutting, and but RPA is getting traction because of the ease of use. Anyone like anyone can join the RPA side. Like they can pick based on their interest, like they want to go into the RPA management side or RPA BS side or RPA development side. It is not difficult to pick the RPA developer skill because it needs basic .NET skill, and because most of the part is drag and drop. You can, for example, if I give you example, like you log in into the ERP application, that is a web application. So what are the steps that you take? You open your laptop, you open the browser, you type the URL, and you submit your username and password and click on enter, right? Those are like 4 or 5 steps. There are inbuilt activities that you just can drag and drop, like drag activity to open the browser. Like now there would be a text box that every time you have to enter a web application URL, and you can source the credential in an encrypted manner from a password wallet. Like it can be CyberArk, it can be Windows Asset Manager, or it can be Windows Vault Password Manager, or it can be UiPath's inbuilt Asset Manager. So you can pick the credential in an encrypted way and enter into the portal. So it is easy. It is easy for you to configure the code, and moreover, like another application, why it is becoming famous in the people, like because even if you do not have the development skills, you can run the recording. Like the way NO has started recording this session, you can just click on the record activity in the UiPath Studio, that is a design console, and wherever you click, the the studio will take care of that, and it will draw a skeleton. And next time you can just click on play and define the parameters of the variables that you want to change, and it will run in the same manner. It will replicate or mimic your behavior. But yeah, that is for the easy or the like a easy implementation. But yeah, when it comes to the complex implementation that requires some cognitive ability or tough decision metrics, you would need some basic development skills, and the syntax would vary. Like the syntax that are there in UiPath may not be exactly same what are followed in other competitors. And these are like common use cases. Like if we have to do the customer due diligence, like there are a lot of information or a lot of steps that goes behind the checks. Like when you submit your document to an organization, like they will be checking your information, like your name, your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and match it with other information. And they will be also checking your criminal record, and that's a manual activity, right? So all these activities can be done automatically without human intervention. And invoice processing, we already discussed. Payroll processing can be automatically done, and demand and supply planning, like pricing and monitoring. Okay, this is an interesting use case, because pricing and monitoring, in 2020 I was working for an aviation client, so where my stakeholders mentioned a requirement, the Deepak, the bot has to scan the price of the competitors in the midnight on a 12 o'clock, and it has to consolidate a report for this route, whatever they define in the requirement. The bot would be automatically scanning the competitors rate, and it will be giving a report to the aviation client for which I was working. So my client can adjust their price to make it competitive, so the customer can choose my client rather than going to the their competitors. So this is one example. And pricing, this monitoring thing, it was kind of impossible for humans to do, because humans have a limitation. They cannot scan the complete market, right? Because there are like thousands of flights that take fly from one place to another on different dates. So it was only possible through the bots. The bot would run, it'll run for 4 to 5 hours. It'll skim the entire geography and the total number of flights that are flying. It'll see wherever my client's price was not competitive, it will give a feedback. Okay, and in this route, you have to change the price so you become competitive. That is another example. And you can also manage the inventory, like wherever the inventory level goes below a threshold number, the bot can raise a trigger. Like, for example, if we deploy this in the Walmart, and I love a cookie, and I love Tim Tam biscuits, and if the Tim Tam inventory level goes below a threshold, what a bot can do on the back end, it will see, okay, Tim Tam inventory level is below 100. Now it has to be replenished, because there's a lead time of 2 weeks for the replenishment. Bot would automatically send like a purchase order request to the supplier that please ship these like Tim Tam cookies, because these are below the threshold level, and this is a lead time. 2 weeks is a lead time, and 1.5 weeks is the delivery time. So this was just one example, but yeah, you can assume the application of it in various other use cases in supply chain, what bot can do on its own, because you just have to train the bot on the rules, and bot would be running autonomously. Okay, now I jump to the automation career, like how you can get into the RPA side, because I know like most of you people would be interested, like by seeing the potential in the RPA industry, like it is good, but how you can make a switch from your current work profile to RPA. Okay, let me go through the questions that are there. My connection, okay, please smile. Okay, do you recommend I know how to develop bots as a business analyst? In other words, how technical should I be? Okay, and there is an interesting question from Kevin, and even I had this question in 2018 when I was looking for a RPA BA opportunity. So though I enrolled myself into a development course, I did a two days development classroom training. So I said it added some value, but for BA, more than development, it is the BA mindset that you need in order to excel or perform or give the best performance in the RPA BA job. I have like good BAs in my team who doesn't know, who are not from the technical background, but they are doing amazing in their job profile. Yeah. So, and we'll be discussing the BA mindset in the upcoming slide, like what are the skills that you need. But here, like the transferable skills have to be there in you. Like, for example, yeah, a developer experience is not a must. I don't have a development experience, and I can be honest here, like I never did a coding, though I did some shell scripting that is on the black terminal, like on the server side, but I never did some in my engineering time. I did some C Java coding, but I was bad at the coding. I never did coding in my IT career, and I'm doing amazing in my career here. So, and I tried. It doesn't mean that like I tried learning the coding, but I could not, to be honest here. So I started focusing on the areas where I am good at. So I know like I'm highly analytical, and I enjoy solving the problems. So I started my career and putting energy in that direction, and I'm doing well in my career. So okay, Kevin, can you please unmute yourself and discuss like what your background is, and then I can able to tell you like what, like based on the domain and the experience that you have, uh, what should be the career track for you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the opportunity. So I right now I work as a risk regulation and compliance consultant, and I'm placed with a global bank in New York City on a team that's doing RPA work as a business analyst. So that is scheduled to begin on Monday.
Wow.
So I have been doing some, upskilling on my own to become familiar with, the role. I even have gone as far as to download Uipath onto my laptop and then just kind of, playing around with creating bots. And I took a little small training so I can have a better understanding of business analytical concepts that pertain to RPA, so I could understand things like they talked about the triple win model. They talked about sliders in order to determine what would be the best candidate for RPA in terms of like the nature of the work and inputs and outputs and things like that. They talked about something about center of excellence. Right.
You know more about RPA.
So I think really what I'm looking to obtain from this session is for me to be able to, in general, visualize the role on what a day in the life would look like. I think about how I would have to speak with my stakeholders internally and to comment, thinking like having the BA mindset, the types of things that I'm going to ask them, with empathy and having an understanding of what it is that they have to go through in order to do their job. I get that RPA is literally taking repetitive transactional tasks that are like humans would do and automating that. So I get that. And then like user acceptance testing, that's like the last thing that you would do. Like, I guess I would be involved in aspects of that. So I think building user case
use case scenarios,
cases, and user acceptance testing and visualizing the role in a day in a life. Those are types of things I'm thinking about right now. If that makes sense.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes sense, Kevin. And congratulations. And somehow like this timing of the session and your role overlap. Like, so Monday you'll be more confident because you have done your groundwork. Though the groundwork that you did, it is there in my upcoming slides, like what a BA, though you are lucky here that you already got the role, but a lot of people I see like approximately 50 people who wants to become an RPA BA who do not have the opportunity right now. So I'll be talking on that. So you have done your BA training, and I'll request you to, like, if you have done the foundation training on the business analyst in the Uipath Academy, that is one thing. Second thing, yeah, I'll be covering on the how you can cover that by another slide because I have a lot of content to cover. But yeah, and I can talk with you offline as well, like if you need any advice, like how you can be successful. But the main thing that you have to keep in your mind, like if you want to be successful in this new role, Kevin, is you have to keep customer in the center. Do not think about technology, or do not think about the coding as a constraint. Just think about customer first, like keep customer in the center and think about the pain points that they have, like that you want to solve with this technology. So if you have that mindset, the empathy part that you mentioned, so that will make you successful in this new role. Because even I follow that mantra. Whenever I talk to customer, on back of my mind, I keep that, okay, I have to help this guy because he's doing a lot of repetitive activity. I have to make him work on good or the quality stuff for what the company has hired him for, because company would not prefer hiring you for the repetitive activities or the mundane activity, and you would get bored if you do a same activity over and over, like for multiple months, for multiple years. Yeah, so stay customer obsessed. And now the type of skills that will be useful, I'll just take your example, Kevin, here. So the transferable skills. So in your day-to-day job, you must be solving some problem, right? And for BA, it is must that he has to have the problem solving attitude. You must be analytical in mind. So like if you see the problem, just do not close your eye on the problem. Like think about the like why this problem is happening, what is the pattern of this problem, like go into the root, do the root cause analysis. And those kind of skills or the techniques are needed in this role, in the BA role. What are the, these are the transferable skills, like when you're in an interview room and you're appearing like try to convince the interviewer that this is why you think you are a perfect candidate for the RPA BA, because you know RPA BA solves the problems. They solve the problem like that are around mundane and repetitive activities. So, and sometimes like you have to do the root cause analysis. Like if you see the symptom or around the pain point that customer mentioned, that his orders are not reaching on the time. So you would have to follow certain techniques like Ishikawa technique or 5 why technique, like why it is happening. So you have to do the root cause analysis. And once you found the root cause analysis, you can recommend the steps that sometime like that are not solved by the automation, but majority of the time those pain points are solved by the automation. But you can tell that these are the steps that you can take that can be fixed by the automation, and these are the process improvement opportunities or the areas that you have to focus. Or at this place you need business process reengineering, that you have to transform your process the way you do, because this is not the efficient way of doing the stuff. So that way you have to drive the conversation. And obviously like the transferable skills and the synergies from the background, like you are from the risk background, definitely that's a huge plus, because I believe the areas that you'll be automating are from the risk domain. So the domain knowledge definitely would help you, because when I mentioned like I got a domain experience, I'll not say domain, I'm not a domain expert, but I'm a generalist. I'm not a specialist in one business domain, but I have some BAs who are a specialist in taxation, BAs who are specialists in healthcare. But by working in different domains, like if you give me a new domain, I may not be able to perform first best in my first go. I would need more amount of time. I have to study on the Google, see YouTube videos on that domain, and study the white paper in our repository to learn about the domain. But having the domain knowledge would definitely be a plus. Transferable skills would be another plus. Like if this analytical skills if you have, and the complementary technology. So you said the coding thing. Coding is not a must, but if you know the capability of the technology, like this is possible, this is not, you would be successful in that job. As a BA, I need to know, like when I'm driving the conversation with a client and they put a pain point in front of me or a problem statement, that Deepak, would you be able to do that? At that time, uh, it may not be like, it may not look good that I said, okay, I'll take down your question. I do not have answer right now. It is not a bad to say that, but yeah, if you know the capabilities of the technology that you have in your portfolio, then it will create a wow factor for the client, that they will perceive that you know your product well, you know your technology well. Not necessarily you need to have the development skill for that. At least the capability you should know. And the credential, when I say credential, it is the past experience, the past qualification, or the education that you're bringing on the table. And like the daily schedule, like nowadays, like the role has changed in UiPath for me. And as you become more experienced, you would not be working on the low complexity project. You will be working on the complex projects. Some of them may be strategic in nature, like enablement of the partners. Like you have to, you do not have to deliver the project, but you have to enable other people to deliver the project. Those can be from your partners, those can be from your team, like associate business analyst. And you have to do the fitment test, like when you said you have to explore the automation opportunity, right? You have to do some fitment or the assessment test, and then you will be doing a lot of discovery. Discovery means like you define this strategy and the roadmap for the automation. And if I have to sell you something, I would need to convince you that if you buy this item, you would be getting this much return on investment. That's what we describe in the business case. And we have to attend a lot of business case meeting where we demonstrate the financial savings, the soft dollar save. When I say soft dollar save, it is the positive customer experience or positive employee experience, or the experience that generates wow factor. And we have to collaborate with multiple teams. Like we have to talk to sales team, we have to talk to customer support team, we have to talk to project managers, developers, solution architect, and the domain expert to add value to the customer or the work that we are delivering for the client. And we have to sometimes, like if the problem is tricky, and we have to do the brainstorming with subject matter expert in order to arrive at a best solution. Like participate in the this design discussion, or do the business process reengineering. And continuously, like I have to update my skills, like learn something new. I rely on the LinkedIn and the APQC and IIBA to stay up to date on the latest framework, methodology, or the knowledge. And I also study some in-house knowledge repository, or the platform that we have to stay up to date. So next time if I encounter the same problem, I do not have to start from the zero. So that's my day-to-day schedule. And the challenges that I face on day-to-day life, like sometimes I have to get into the ad hoc connect. Like I may not know that I have a meeting after 2 hours, but I may get a notice from my director that Deepak, there is a meeting in 5 minutes. Or would you be able to jump into that meeting and help client on their queries? So that is challenge. Like sometimes we do not plan for the things, right? And overlapping meetings, like as a BA, like we work, RPA BA would be working on different projects. So you would have overlap. So you would have to prioritize which meeting you can attend, like, and which you can decline, and which you can request reschedule. And like, because Uipath has more than 10-15 products, to stay up to date about the latest and the greatest features that are rolled out every month or every quarter, it is difficult thing. It's a challenge, real challenge. And not only about the Uipath, sometimes you have to stay up to date with the market as a whole. When I say market, it's the RPA industry. And what is the exciting part here? So I feel empowered when I save the time of the end users. Like I'll mention one example. There was a when I was working last year for a manufacturing client in US. So there was a SME who was coming at 4 o'clock in the morning because she had to generate a report, and that report generation was taking 45 minutes, and she has to send the report by before 5:30 in the morning, so they can plan the production like item that they have to produce. So she was doing that from last 12 to 13 years. And when I got to know, I said, like, why you have to come at 4 o'clock in the morning? Then she said, this is the activity of the report that she had to generate. Yeah. No, like I did not know about the pay scale. I did not ask that question, but yeah, she was like she had like more than 15 years of experience. She was at a middle experience level. She was not like a senior executive level, but yeah, she was into the middle experience level. But when I said, okay, we would be able to save you from this, because it wasn't normal for her. Like it was abnormal for me. Like I felt, okay, why a person had to come at 4 o'clock in the morning? And so we automate, like I did an assessment on that case, and that case was good and showing a good return on investment, because every day a user is spending 45 minutes on a use case. So we were able to save that time and get an approval that we should automate that use case. And that person was able to come at 6:30 a.m. Like other employees. So that's how, like that is just one example. Whatever like automation that we be like, I feel empowered that I'm saving someone's time from doing a monotonous or a boring activity. And another thing, like like RPA, as I mentioned, like it has a flavor of artificial intelligence. So we rely on process mining and the task mining that use AI and the machine learning model on the back end. So it is like a cutting edge technology that I'm working on. So in a way, like I feel safe. Okay, at least my job would not be automated by someone else. So, and like it is good that I feel associated with the latest technology in the market right now. And there's a continuous learning involved in this. Like I interact with a lot of people, a lot of different domains and the business experts. I learn about their problems, their process, and give a solution to them. And with that, I grow my knowledge as well. I do not only help them, but I get to learn something new, and I meet new people. So that's a good experience, and I like meeting people. And I have like great teammates. Like sometimes if I have a conflict of, or if I am unable to find a, like a good solution, so I discuss, I open a platform with my fellow colleagues. They help me that Deepak, this can be like, it is sometimes good and advisable that you open your problem to other peers, because sometimes you can narrow in your thought process. So you would be able to think from different perspective from your teammates. And obviously, like I mentioned, I did not write this part, no coding right now. It was written like last month when I drafted this PPT. So my role doesn't involve coding. Okay, I see a question here: to prove the process would work during pre-sales. Oh no, I participated in the POC activity, but I did not do the coding. I did not made those POC. I was there to understand the process and to demonstrate the value, like what would be the financial impact during the POC. And what next? Like so now I thought, okay, I'll be sharing my knowledge and experience to other colleagues, not only the colleagues, but to other people who aspire to become a RPA BA. And I'm also in touch with IIBA community. If they're planning to conduct any RPA session, I'm more than welcome to assist them, assist the BAs who want to learn on that. And that's how I connected with Inno, and she said she also got some interest from the candidates on the RPA side. So I said, okay, I'll be happy to assist and at least enable some of you people, even like if after this session, if 2 or 3 from this 50 people are able to crack job interviews, or you got interest in RPA and in the next 3-4 months you're able to crack a job interview, I will feel I'm successful. Okay, now what's the roadmap for the RPA? And like I had shown you everything, like okay, what it takes to become a BA, what is the daily schedule of a RPA BA, and what are the challenges, and what is the exciting part, and what is the challenging, and about myself, like how I got into RPA BA. But another incentive, the financial incentive, is that you can easily get 6-figure salary in RPA BA role. So yeah, I don't think there's any other motivation factor outside this, the money factor. But yeah, I mentioned the other qualitative factors in the previous slide. But yeah, this is also like a tangible factor that you should consider if you're planning to switch the domain. Okay. Now, why should you become an RPBA? Money is one factor that motivates everyone here. Like we are working to have bread and butter on our table, right? But you outside the money, like you also have to think on the like introspect. What are the driving factors? Like, are you only becoming BA just for the money factor? If money is the only factor, then you may not be able to achieve the optimum growth in your career, in the BA career. Because in BA career, like as I mentioned, like it is the mindset, it is the problem solving attitude. And in RPA BA, one thing that you have to continuously like keep upgrading yourself. Last year the activities that I was doing were different from 2020, and this year the activities or the role that I'm playing is different from the last year. And every 4 or 5 months, like the nature of my job changes. So like if you like upskilling yourself, and then this is the role for you. And the transferable skills, like if you are from a healthcare or a finance or a telecom sector, it will be easy for you to start your RPA career from that domain. Last month I was counseling a guy who approached me. He works in ATV Bank in Edmonton. So he said, Deepak, I'm interested in becoming RPA BA. What can I do? I said, okay, good. I asked like the same question, like, why do you want to become RPA? And he said like his own reason that he said these are the reasons. Okay. And I made a roadmap for him. Like I said, okay, start, because in ATB, I know like the RPA implementation is there. I said, approach the center of excellence there, showcase your interest and showcase your credibility that you have done your groundwork well. Like you have done some certification, you have done some projects on RPA, minor project, to showcase your credibility and what are the transferable skills you're bringing on the table, and what is a gap that is here. Like domain is the most common thing that you can bring as an area of expertise when you want to switch to RPA, and understand the gap that is required to reach the RPA and where are you right now. Once you understand the gap, and for all 50 of you, like the gap would be different. Like for Kevin, the gap is minimal because he's starting his job. What he needs is a little like experience that he'll get definitely in his job, because he has a right mindset. He did his training well, and he studied the fundamentals on the academy portals and trainings. So he will rock in the RPA role. But yeah, understand the gap that are there, and you only can assess the gaps. And now what next? Once you have done your homework on the transferable skills, then you have to decide, as I mentioned, like there are more than dozens of players in the RPA market. Pick the RPA player or the RPA vendor that you want to go, and how you can decide which RPA vendor, because there are dozens, so that makes your decision tough. Like which RPA vendor? So pick a vendor that provides free training. Like Uipath provides free training from beginning, like and it has the biggest community of the developers and free members. So people like, okay, this is on the development side, but yeah, I'll keep the scope limited to the BA. So Uipath Academy website has a free training for everyone. Like, and that is though when we do the partner enablement, we do a little more than what is there in the academy. But yeah, for a person who doesn't have any RPA background, he can start from that training. It's a 2 hours training. It will not take much of your time. You know, on the weekend or in the evening, late evening, you can go through the training. Like, and I believe like you'll be any person who doesn't have RPA experience. And this is from the feedback that I got from the people. People are able to grasp 60% or 70% of the training in the very first go. So that's how like the simple RPA training is. Because as I mentioned, like it's not the methodology or the framework. You need to know the framework that we follow in the RPA implementation, but it is more than the framework of the implementation. It is the mindset that you have to keep. Like you have to be analytical. You have to keep customer in the center and understand their pain point and see like what capabilities you have with which you can solve the customer problems. And yeah, where to access the training, please. Okay, I would give the training link in the chat window, or if you can like go on Uipath Academy, there is a just search for RPA BA training in Uipath Academy. That's it. Or write it in Google like RPA Academy on Uipath training. You will and sign up on the Uipath Academy. It's free. There's no charges for the training. Yeah, and you will like the training. And I'm not only saying that you explore the Uipath only, but you can explore any other platform. I do not know about the competitors if they provide free training or not, but Uipath definitely does provide the free training. And there are a lot of webinars and previous recorded sessions that are there. You can go into the website of Uipath, go into the webinar section. You can register for the webinars. There are BAs and customer success managers like who conduct monthly webinars where they tell about the industry, where the industry is heading, where it was earlier, and what are the latest improvements and what are the latest pain point that. Oh, thanks, yep. Okay, now the next part is like once you have assessed the gap, what are the gap? You have selected the RPA vendor. Now you have to upskill or cross skill. If you're coming from entirely different background, you do not know anything about BA, your domain is different, then you have to cross skill. But if your case is similar to Kevin, who is from risk and regulatory background. His department had some RP program. So you just have to upskill. Like the gap is not that huge for you. So just learn a little bit of tech skills. Like when I said tech skills, it is for those people who are not from IT. Means the RPA project, RP lifecycle, like what are the like different models we have, like waterfall and agile, and how it, like how it runs in agile. Like you can attend like basic like Scrum Master course, how it is performed, because in RPA we follow the methodology that is close to agile. It is not purely waterfall, it is not purely agile, it's kind of mix of both. Yeah, but that will help you a lot when you're cross skilling and trying to learn RPA. And industry knowledge. So industry knowledge would do wonders, like because if you know an industry well, like for example healthcare or a telecom or a finance or a risk or regulatory or auditing, right? It will be easy for you, or the barrier would be small for you to come into RPA in your explore in your organization. If there's some RP program running, if that is running, great. That's the advice that I gave to my friend last month. And I guess Kevin also followed the similar thing. He wanted to get into RPA and he got opportunity in his department. So he would leverage his industry knowledge. And the BA skills I'll be covering in the next slide. And the certification, obviously, like if you're coming for an interview, like if I'm interviewing you and you do not have any past RP experience, though it makes you a little weak in front of other candidates who are bringing RP experience, but if you have the right credentials on your resume, like and then like you have attended like multiple webinars and seminars, and you learn the latest thing, the latest problem that RPA is solving, and you are able to engage me into the conversation that Deepak, this is how this is the latest problem that is faced in this industry, and this is how RPA is helping here, like how RPA would be able to add value here. So I guess your odds would be higher, like your chance of selection would be higher. So, and knowledge forums. When I say knowledge forums, LinkedIn, the webinars, you can see the RPA podcast are there. Just put it on Google. I would not recommend. I would not put any name here, but you can listen to multiple forums that are there on the RPA. The podcasts are there, where literally like experienced think tanks are coming who have seen this industry from though the RPA industry is new, but it started like 10-15 years back. It's so who have seen the IT industry evolve and where RPA fits. So listen to their conversation that they are having among themselves, and you'll be able to grow your knowledge exponentially. And RPA training, of course, like when you select the RPA vendor, you'll be able to do the free trainings. And once you have done your homework, like why transferable skills vendor and the upskill part, if you have done these 4 activities, now start looking the opportunities, like publish that into your network that you're looking for the opportunity in RPA, attend the webinars, and attend these seminars that are happening. Though due to COVID, like we're not having like multiple seminars, but keep an eye on the seminars or the webinars that are happening. You attend those, like you develop your network, ask them for the opportunity or the referral, like showcase your interest. Obviously on the first meeting, people would not refer you. Why would they refer you? So you have to show interest, show consistency, right? So that way you'll be able to explore like or get a job that you want. And internal is the preference, like if in your organization there's a RP program, explore that. And if it is not there in your organization, do not kill your aspiration, start exploring outside the RPA job. And now I talk about the skill set. Like there are multiple like dimensions or the like areas, like industry. I like all these 4 are important. Like industry expertise is needed. Like you can be from different expertise from BFSI, banking, finance, and insurance, manufacturing, or healthcare. So this industry would be a plus because you would be able to drive the meaningful conversation with the subject matter expert or the end users. And now like on the personal front, like you need to have a clear communication skills, not only like the spoken part but the listening part, because as a PA I have to listen a lot. I have to when I discuss with SME their problem, the pain point, I have to listen. If I miss, it may look bad on my part. Like if I'm asking them to repeat, there's no harm in asking the information again, but yeah, if I keep on asking that information again, it may look bad. And you have to be empathetical. If you're not empathetical, you would not be able to put yourself in their shoes and try to think from their point of view, because the solution that you are asking them, it should be like they should be able to follow that solution. Like you should be able to solve the problem rather than create a new problem for them. And on the business analysis, like you have to have some process improvement, like, or the problem solving mindset. You should be analytical, strategical, like forward thinking, because when I say forward thinking, it is needed because the solution that you're recommending would last for years. When I say years, it is not 10-15 years, like at least it will last for 2 to 3 years. So anticipate the changes that can come and prepare the requirement document accordingly. Leave a buffer room that this may change or that may change. Design the configuration when you discuss with solution architect. So keep that space open, like, okay, this is you have to leave a space for the further improvement. And this is on the business analysis side. On the tech side, again, repeating, no coding needed, but at least you should know, like, what is the like platform provide. When I say platform, like now UiPath, I can speak on behalf of, no, not on behalf, but yeah, I can speak about the UiPath has a lot of services offerings, like more than 10-15 technology components are there, like that we can leverage to solve the customer problem. Because if there is a tool, then that tool must be solving some business problem. So learn about the tool, like what business problem it is solving, and then you'll be able to like have the good conversation with anyone, like be it the expert, be it the interviewer, be it the think tanks, or like the webinars that you attend, right? If you want to extend the conversation with the speakers, you can approach him. Okay, you want to know more about it, like what business problem it is solving, and this is what you think. Share your viewpoint and learn from their viewpoint. And from the certification side, if you are not from the BA background, go do the ECBA certification from the IIBA. It will really help you to showcase your interest in BA. And as I mentioned to someone, like you can go to Academy, Uipath Academy, and do the BA foundation training. Like it is 2 hours training. You'll get some certificate or a diploma. You can publish in your LinkedIn network, do the marketing, and showcase your interest in the RPA BA. Or in RPA BA, like we do a lot of process improvement. So Lean Six Sigma Green Belt would be the minimum certification that I would recommend. Lean Six Sigma Black Belt is the advanced, but at least like if you want to bring something on the table, if you do not have our BA experience, in order to prove your credibility, you need to have this certification in your belt. And yeah, you can do the competitor analysis, go through the latest updates and trends that are there in the market and how the market is evolving. So you would be thorough, like whatever conversation that you'll be having with the interviewer or the think tank, those would be organic in nature. It will not look like, okay, you have crammed something, because this thing would take time. Like you understand the competitors or the different players. Okay, what vendor A is doing, what vendor B is doing. Like, okay, now vendor A has launched some new feature, and this is how this is solving the problem. Like, and vendor B would launch the same feature after a few months. You know, okay, this is a validation that feature A was great. That's why other vendors have copied. Yeah, this is about the skill attributes that a BA need to have, like in order to be successful in his or her job. So yeah, that's it. With this, I'm like done with the slides. Now, any question, team? Like you can unmute yourself, and or you can put your question in the chat window, and Anno would facilitate the questions.
Thank you so much, Deepak. That was a good one, learning about your experience with RPA and your journey and what you do at work and the things that you're doing for your clients. Very interesting examples that you gave. Guys, feel free to ask any questions you have at all. Any questions you have for Deepak about robotic process automation. It's interesting to know that, you know, all the activities you carry out, I was looking at, you know, the day in life for you. It's still very it's still very typical BA day in life. The only difference is the technology that you're working with. That's the only difference.
Yeah, and that's why I say like technology is just an enabler. Like I
Yeah.
know the capabilities of my technology, like what it can do, what it cannot do. So when we do the assessment, so in assessment we need to know whether is it worth solving that problem. If it is worth solving, can we solve it with the capability or the component of the technology stack that I have or not. And I'm sharing my LinkedIn profile link in the Zoom chat window. You can connect with me. If you don't want to ask question right now, you can drop your question to me. I'll be happy to help you, team, people, uh, anything on RPA BA or a BA in general, if you want to know. Okay, there was a, okay. Is there?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yep, please.
Well, thank you so much, Endoneka, for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Deepak. I'm actually working as a business analyst with IBM. I'm currently basically on a contract with BMW. And the reason why I was kind of very intrigued to come to this meeting was because I wanted to get, I personally am interested in RPA for quite some number of years. So this is somewhere basically actually I'm looking to go into. So from what I've gathered so far from what you've explained, thank you so much for the thorough explanation of the RPA process and how basically it works. I think that, as you said, yes, you need to have the mindset. And then I think the next thing is basically just to get some better understanding of how the process works. So I think I'll just follow up on the things that you said. But my question to you is, how easy do you think that transition from being just a normal BA is to becoming an RPA BA as such? Because pretty much, yes, you can have the mindset. You can know obviously as a BA what it takes, being customer centric, we are aware of that. But apart from all these skills and all this knowledge that you may have, is there anything else that you think, apart from the fact that as a BA, we need to be very kind of relevant with what is taking place basically in the marketplace? What else do you think that, as a BA, we need to look out for, especially when you are already a BA and you're transitioning from, let's say, from one domain to another?
Yeah, if you're already a BA, then you have done 70% of your work. Like you only need that 30 pending 30%. Means you have to know the technology stack. When I say technology stack, it is not the development skill. I'm repeating myself because a lot of BAs are afraid and skeptical whenever they see the jargon technology. But you need to know what is possible, what is not, what tool is solving what problem, right? So that you need to know, and like you are already a BA and you need to decide like which RPA platform you want to learn, because sometimes there may be some biases in some interview, like in some interviews, like if you have worked on RPA platform 1 and if they have a vacancy for RPA platform 2, they would not be preferring you. So that's why like pick a platform that is most common, so your chances are high to get selected in the interview. And then the approach is same, like complete free trainings, and if required you go for the paid training. If you are seriously interested, see who is providing the paid trainings on that platform, and do some free start doing some freelancing. There are freelancing website, like pick the RPA BA job and like at associate level, and not pick like at a senior level. Just like take the flavor, like what kind of work is there. The documentation, it is kind of similar. It's not a huge difference in the documentation style, but slight difference is there. But yeah, you would have to start like get your hands dirty in the RPA side. You need to know like do certification, attend webinars, attend seminars, follow the think tanks on the RPA, listen to the podcast that are there, and sign up on the top 2-3 RPA players in the market. Sign up on their website for the free webinars that are conducted, And trust me, like this process may take some time for me, though it took a lot of time. Like for me, it took more than 7-8 months. But yeah, I was kind of interested. So I was also passionate about RPA. When I was not getting RPA opportunity in my current organization, I started looking, and fortunately, like I got opportunity in Uipath as a RPA. So I'm like a proof in front of you. Like if you have passion, it would not be a barrier for you to get into the RPA company or like service company that works on RPA.
Thank you so much, Deepak. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Deepak. Any other questions before we round up? So many things to learn. So many things to learn. Like you already said, Deepak, you know, if you're already a business analyst, you've already done 70% of the work, because from what we saw Deepak show us from, you know, the roadmap and the day in life, what he typically does, his daily schedule, everything he does is, you know, it's still his regular BA activities, building out the business case, having brainstorming sessions, discovery meetings, speaking with the clients, working with the developers, creating designs. All of that are the typical things that a BA does. So he already has that covered. The only thing that he needed to add on getting into this career was learning about RPA, the technology in itself, so that he can advise the customers and help them solve their problems. So if you're already a business analyst, then, you know, this is definitely not, it's definitely not going to be hard for you to move into this career. And you don't need to work at Uipath like Deepak is doing, because a lot of companies are now adopting, you know, RPA. So maybe it's part of the vision for your company, and maybe they're going to be doing it in the next 2-3 years. So being able to have this skill right now, add it onto your BA skill, what does that do for you? Say they're creating an RPA department, right? You might just happen to be the team lead there because you already have the knowledge and the skill, right? Or in your industry, you work for company A and company B is a competitor in your industry, and you have your ears to the ground and company B is implementing RPA, and you already work at company A and you have the RPA knowledge and skill. Easy way to, you know, pitch yourself or apply for that role. So you want to always stay ahead of the game when you're in any industry. RPA is an emerging technology that, like Deepak showed us, is going to be a $30 billion industry, you know, in the next, 7 years, which is not far at all, 2030, I believe. Thank you so much, Deepak, for sharing. So, you know, it's definitely something you want to add on. I've always believed in being ahead of the game. And, you know, for those of you who are here, you've had this knowledge now. So you don't just want to, yes, Deborah, you would receive it in an email. So you don't just want to sit in this class. You want to also take the knowledge that you've gotten, you know, go on and take the free business analysis training, take the free RPA training, and start to improve yourself, start to learn, and join the communities, engage with other RPA BAs, learn what you're doing, and see how you can tap in to this, the industry and into this skill. Thank you so much, Deepak. It was great learning from you. I'm happy we're able to finally do this. Feel free to connect with Deepak as well and ask him any questions. You know, join the RPA community as well. You know, learn what's happening in that industry, and, you know, join other webinars as well about, you know, this robotic process automation. It's actually very interesting, deploying bots and having bots carry out the day-to-day tasks. Imagine going to work at 4 a.m. just to run a report. Like, I would never do that. I don't care how much you're going to pay me. But, you know, that's how much people, you know, people have done monotonous work for years, and being able to deploy bots to do this is a game changer. So imagine what it's going to be like in the next, you know, 10 years. So having this skill right now sets you ahead of all the other thousands of BAs. If there are, you know, 50 BAs right now who already have the RPA skill, that sets you apart in the next couple of years. So thank you so much, Deepak. Thank you everyone for being here. Feel free to reach out to Deepak, reach out to me, or send us an email if you have any questions, need any support in your BA career. Let us know. We're happy to help you get your certifications or even get started in the BA industry, the BA career. Thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful Thursday ahead. Thank you, Deepak. He shared the slides in the chat, so quickly download it before we end the meeting.